I'm going to encourage you to say, thank you for sharing, brain, and be open, because every time you say, I know that, your brain shuts down and you can't learn anything new. I'm also going to give you two at the very end that I guarantee one of them, at least, you've never thought of doing. How many of you, by show of hands, actually schedule consistent networking time on your calendar right now? Come on. It's consistent. Awesome. So for those of you who are not doing that, ask yourself, what would happen? What would happen if I only spent 30 minutes a day, every day, networking? Would it result in one sale a month, one sale a week, maybe one sale a day? I encourage you, you've got to get consistent and get it on your calendar. From a chamber perspective, the first thing I would have you do, especially if you're new and perhaps you're a little uncomfortable networking with people that you don't know, go into the chamber member directory and start looking for past clients that you've had, past vendors that you've had, or past people who've provided you services, because you've got a little bit of a warm contact there, right? You know them, they know you. Start there. Offer them referrals. The first thing you want to know from a networking perspective is Giver's Gain. If you haven't read that book, read that book, Giver's Gain. That's the first thing you want to do. The chamber is a wealth of referrals, but be the initiator. The second thing I would have you do is then go through and begin looking at other companies in that directory who could potentially have your ideal audience. Think about that. There's a wealth of abundance for everybody. There's more than enough to go around. What would happen if you did some affiliate agreements, or you partnered with people who actually have your ideal client in their community right now? Who's ever thought about doing that, right? If you haven't, I really want to open your mind up today that there's lots of opportunities. I believe that virtual is never going to go away. I think it's really going to grow more than people think it is, for the very reason that Dan Lindblad gave us. It's about time. It's about controlling your time. I will tell you that as much as I was out at all the live events, in the first 2 months of COVID alone, I attended more networking events and more happy hours in 2 months than I had in the past 8 months before that. Why is that? I had more time. I wasn't spending 30 or 45 minutes driving in my car one way, parking. So I want you to think about that as an alternative way to help you grow your business, even when we go back to live events. Make it a hybrid model for your business. While you're being consistent, while you're looking up old contacts and new ones, put them in an Excel spreadsheet. Tracking right now in this virtual world is more important than ever. It takes more touches to get that next client than it ever did before. People are inundated with Zoom, remote opportunities. How do you get clients, right? Know, like, and trust. Those are the first three factors. When it comes to virtual, it's get seen. You have to have visibility. How many of you are hiding, waiting for someone to come find you? Because you might not be comfortable in front of a camera. You might not be comfortable networking in this type of environment. I want you to think about a turtle. Picture a turtle, and all you can see is the shell. Now I want you to picture your turtle, and its head pops out and its legs pop out, and it starts to walk across the street. And it stops, and it puts its head back in the shell and its legs back in the shell. And there's your turtle sitting in the middle of the road. Why am I telling you that? Because the turtle only makes progress when he sticks his neck out. What are you willing to do to get your business to grow here? Are you willing to do something different, something that might feel risky? Maybe the virtual environment feels a little risky to you. You got to stick your neck out to get your business to grow. Visibility is more important than ever. I attended an event yesterday where a lady kept going, no, don't get off, Carol. I have to know what you do. Now, I don't even remember this lady, but she said she had met me, or had seen me across the room, if you will, at many, many events over the last year or so, and never got to know what I did. It turns out in that short conversation, we now have a call set up for next week. She's interested in talking to me about becoming a client of mine. Strictly was from visibility. She didn't really know, but she had seen me enough times. The next fourth step is embracing technology. One of the reasons we get nervous about it is we don't spend time testing it out. Get on there, test it out. This weekend, I'm testing out 2 new platforms as a new way to expand my business across the globe. I'm not a techie person, right? But I'm willing to take that risk and learn. And on virtual, you've got to be willing to mess up, right? Everything perfect. It's about going with the flow. I would tell you, and I've seen many instances this morning, and I saw it yesterday. I attended several events yesterday. In one event, there was a gentleman in the entire hour. He never looked at the camera, not one time. Now, I want you to think about it. If you were at a live event and someone had their head turned to you like this, how long are you going to talk to them? How long are you going to talk to them? You have to be aware of your surroundings. If you're going to step away from the camera, turn your camera off. It's very disconcerting to other people to watch you get up, sit down, move around. There was a gentleman on a networking event I was at last week, and I actually reached out to the host and I said, could you please ask him to turn his camera off? You know what he was doing? He took his phone, he walked us through his kitchen, he was making breakfast for his kids. I was getting dizzy, right? Up and down with the camera, and it's distracting to everybody else. So make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. One of the things I learned during COVID, my hair grew out, right? And I had this great backdrop for Zoom. I got more compliments on this backdrop. Guess what happened as soon as I cut my hair off and now it's spiky? I look like a freaking alien. I got on there and I hadn't practiced a new backdrop. You notice I have next to no backdrop right now. I happen to be in a training class with a coach, and we're learning about virtual speaking and gaining events. So the other day I had to go in and do a live video, which I did. And she came back, she goes, the first thing she said to me was, your background is making me dizzy. Understood. So now I went to this plain background. She goes, is that the best you got? I said, look, I'm living in a timeshare. I'm in transition. What would you have me do? So this weekend, you know what she said? Go get a table and get a plant. Put a plant right there, right? And she's teaching you like I'm looking at Ann Mihai. She has symmetry in her background. Dan and Jenny and Carolyn all have really good backdrops for theirs. Be aware of how you look on camera. There's some people on here right now. I'm looking up your nose. If you're at a live event, would you want to be looking up somebody's nose? Be aware of where your camera is and how you're sitting. You have to be present. It's not about picking up your phone, looking at something else. Very, very critical. When you're trying to keep somebody's attention on the camera, you've got to engage them. What was the first thing I did? I asked you to raise your hand. In a lot of my live events, I ask people to put things in the chat, right? It's called talk, touch, and type. That's how you meet people. Talk, touch, and type, and get them engaged. I said earlier about not hiding. Say yes to virtual events, but I'm going to encourage you to go find them. You're going to meet other chamber members. Believe it or not, you will meet them at non-chamber events as well. You have to go find them. People ask me, how are you finding all these speaking engagements on the internet? I'm not hiding. And people aren't just throwing them at me. I'm going out to find them. Now, a lot of you may have heard many of those things before. I hope they struck a chord, right? Because sometimes we just have to be reminded that we have to even do some of the basics better and better and better. Now, I'm going to go into 2 tips that you might not have thought about. One is when you're doing your due diligence and you're going through that chamber membership and you're finding people from your past, or you're finding new people that you think might have your audience, I want you to think about, do they have a presence on Facebook? Do they have a presence on Instagram or even LinkedIn? Why am I asking you that? Have you thought about doing Facebook Live swaps? What's his name? I just wrote his name down, Andy Costo. I don't know Andy, but we're in the same general arena of coaching, but we do things differently. Andy's going to hear from me. I'm going to find out who's in Andy's audience. And I'm going to suggest, if we're in alignment, that we do a Facebook Live swap. What does that mean? He tells me what I can bring to his audience, to pour into his audience. He's going to have me live on his thing for 30 minutes. Then he's going to come on my Facebook page. You can double or triple or even more your exposure to potential clients by doing Facebook Live swaps. You're going to have to be the initiator. You're going to have to find these people. I will tell you that in the last 3 days, I have booked out 9 Facebook Lives for the first 9 business days of November. I made a commitment that from the beginning of November, my time is up in 60 seconds. Okay, last thing, don't forget those Facebook Lives. The next thing is one of the things I teach on, talk on, work with my clients on. You can reach out to me. I'm happy to give you some freebies for it, is empowering questions. When you get into this networking and if you have difficulties, please don't say, why does nobody call me back? Why is this not working? You never know. Why brings in defensiveness, the ego, and the emotions. Here's a writer downer for you. When emotions go up, intelligence goes down. I'm going to give you 3 quick questions that you can ask yourself in preparation to meeting new people. Here's the first one. Write it down. How can I show up today to this event so that my ideal client sees me? These are questions you're going to put out to God in the universe, and you're not sitting around trying to figure them out. You're saying, I'm open to doing something new, seeing something new, or saying something I've never said before. Your second question, here it is. What one thing can I say? Just one thing. You have to be specific. What one thing can I say so they can hear me and know that I am the answer to their challenge? I'm the solution. And last but not least, I'm probably over my 60 seconds. Forgive me, Mike. The last one is in preparation before every event, ask yourself, who is the ideal person for me to be in service to today? When you're open to that and you put these questions out there in preparation for these meetings, and you're going to do these questions days in advance over and over and over, you'll be stunned at what shows up to you. Because the people who know me, and know me, I say this, you can't read the label when you're inside the jar. And we're all in a jar. We have opportunities sitting right here that we can't see. Empowering questions will open you to opportunities you've never thought of before. You're going to find great opportunities in the chamber. Welcome for being here, and thank you for your time. Reach out to me if I can help you in any way.